Surrender versus control. Why am I trying to learn to surrender? Traumatized people have control issues. I have a really big control issue. I like being free. Freedom. And I like my freedom, and I do not care for commitment, relationships, or anything that violates my freedom. That is the only damn thing I care about, is being free, believe it or not. But I'm not stupid. I'm fully aware I'm not free. Dumb bastards like Stu and this entire church can harass me forever. Okay? Because that's somehow fucking legal, which violates my freedom. Now, traumatized individuals often have control issues because trauma strips away a person's sense of control, leaving them feeling powerless and vulnerable. To regain a sense of safety and predictability, they may develop compulsive need to control their environment or relationships, or they may struggle with feelings a complete lack of control and helplessness. These issues stem from a combination of emotional responses and changes in the brain, such as chronic activation of the stress response and altered brain structure related to self-control and executive function. Feelings of powerlessness. Traumatic events often involve significant loss of control, leaving individuals feeling helpless and vulnerable. This can trigger a strong, often subconscious need to regain control to prevent future harm. Part of the control issues is they like rigid structures with everything in order. They like having everything done a specific way. This makes them neurotic and weird. It is a part of having control issues, and it comes from trauma. This is why the church rapes you, so you understand the leader. You understand me? Because you were raped in the ass, and then decided instead of fixing it and developing and getting over your trauma, you're just going to traumatize everybody else. And then make them understand that it's not about morals or values or anything else. It's about mindless, stupid control. Morals and values and stuff like that, the reason why the church makes you get rid of them is they want control. And if your morals contradict their control, they are not going to let that be a thing. Okay? Hypervigilance and anxiety. Trauma can lead to constant state of heightened alertness, hypervigilance, making individuals feel the world is dangerous and unpredictable. Is dangerous in an unpredictable place. Controlling their environment is the way to create a sense of safety, even when the threat has passed. Brain changes. The trauma can cause structural and functional changes in the brain, particularly in the areas of responsible for decision-making, impulse control, and emotional regulation. This can lead to difficulty managing emotions and reduced capacity for self-control. Coping mechanisms. Control issues can be maladaptive coping mechanisms. For example, a person might become rigid, inflexible in an attempt to control their environment, which can damage relationships. Fear of vulnerability. Trauma often involves feeling powerlessness and a lack of trust to avoid feeling vulnerable again. Individuals may try to control their interactions with others, leading to fear of abandonment and an inability to take risks. External versus internal locus of control. Childhood trauma can disrupt the development of an internal locus of control, where an individual believes they have agency of their own lives. Instead, they may develop an external locus of control and feel the external forces control them, leading to feeling helplessness. Learned helplessness. A need for perfection in relationships and their own actions. How control issues manifest. A need for perfection in relationships and their own actions. Intolerance for uncertainty and unpredictable changes. A belief that they must avoid all risk to prevent something bad from happening. A tendency to avoid a situation of people that trigger a feeling of losing control. An excessive need to monitor and manage the behaviors of others. This church! It's control! It is! This is why I'm trying to hypnotize myself into willfully surrendering, because a big chunk of the reason I realize I'm not afraid of any of this stuff anymore, believe it or not. But I will not do it, and I realized I will not do it because I'm terrified of surrendering my freedom. I do not want to go to prison, as a normal person should not want to go to prison. American prisons are not based on rehabilitation. They're based on fucking you up as much as you can. And I've done all this work to recover, and now I'm gonna go get fucked up again. I remember saying that to Anal Eating Mummy God, and he went, "Oh, that is stupid," and then, "Give me a minute," and then he hung up the phone, and it was just, leave me alone. Just leave me alone, dude. Leave me the fuck. You guys fucked everything up. You got what you wanted. You got your human trafficking ring back in place. You did all the things. Like, just leave me alone, okay? Like, you're bastards. It's what you are. It's your nature. It's how you do. You have no morals. You have no values. You threw those out so you could be pieces of shit and pretend to have control when you don't have control. You're the furthest things from in control. You're nowhere near in control of anything. You're fucking impulsive, reactive, and you just do things at random and then expect other people to fix it when you fuck it up because you're a 2-year-old. You're a child without a parent. Like, but yeah. I realize part of my anger and aggression issues is I don't feel like I have any control, and control is illusion. It's not real. Control over other people is completely made up. There was a story of a serial killer, and spoiler, all serial killers come from religion. He got this woman, and he kept raping her and beating her, and then making her help him murder people. And then one day, for no reason at all, she shot him in the head. And now, rape through control is the thing. So that narcissist, the malignant narcissist of this church that was doing that to that woman, had control. He was winning. That's what winning looked like. He was in control because that's all he wanted. He didn't care about anything else. And then he got shot in the head. His plan, his control plan, I guarantee you, didn't end with her shooting him in the head. It is just something she decided to do. Knowing full well the consequences that everybody in the church was going to beat, rape, brutalize her, and mutilate her, and they were going to stick her on a cross and crucify her because that's how these people do when you act out against their disgusting church leaders. And they are disgusting human beings. They deserve to be shot, okay? They have no morals and they have no values whatsoever, okay? Without those, you cannot be a good person. That is a fact. Now, this is my point about that versus surrender, being okay with things. And I referred to this state when I talked to Blondie as flowing, being like a flowing piece of water, or flowing water going down a stream. You're at peace, you are calm. It doesn't matter how bad the world gets, you will always be calm because that is your nature. That is the nature of things. Blondie's nature is purely chaotic, and he believes in that nature. That is the nature that enables him to do whatever he wants, and it's destructive. And then he's like, you tell him he can't do something, he has to prove to you he can because he's insecure, and it's all chaos, and violent, and destructive. But the only reason he gets away with it is his stupid fucking church. Once again, if you banned all churches or just started taxing them into the dirt, they would have significantly less power, and Blondie would have significantly less control. That is my point. Okay. Not to mention, I realize now, because of all the people he had coming to me at Papa John's, and was like, the church murdered my wife, and I joined him. The church murdered my kid, and I joined him. The church beat, raped, waterboarded, burnt my kid to death, backed over my child, killed all these people, and I joined it. They're all trophies. They're all trophies for the malignant narcissist to go, you see, you can be my trophy. This is it. This is it. I'm in control. This is what control looks like. And if they can't have that, they're going to take something you care about because they want control of you in some fucking form. But then there's me, the practicer of detachment. Oh, you got her. Good job. I'll just find another. Okay, things go. Let me tell you something. There was an 80-year-old guy I talked to one time, and he told me about for 50 years, him and his wife used to go to this restaurant, and they would go on dates, and he said they were more in love at the age of 80 than they ever were at any other point in their life when she died. And I asked him, I don't cry at funerals, I don't break down, but I was like, you love that woman, but you're not crying. And he said at some point we realized detachment. We had the conversation that one day one of us, or both of us, were going to die, and we would be gone. And he was like, we've had 3 dogs. I think he said he had 5 dogs or 6 dogs in his lifetime. They all died of old age. And he was like, and we learned to detach. We learned the importance of not letting suffering steal time from your life. And we told each other we were not going to let suffering steal time for our lives. And that is how he was okay with the loss of his wife. Because he was not going to let suffering steal time out of his life. Now, I'm really bad at that, because when I'm miserable, I'll be miserable for a long-ass time. Now, that's not a joke. I'll do that. But this guy's point is detachment. It's letting go. Okay? It is the importance of surrender. It is the importance of giving up, not giving up, but letting things happen. Letting things happen without screaming, without kicking, without threatening. And I've done it in the other videos. You guys can go watch them, where I talk about, like, my entire life I have kicked and flailed the entire time. Every situation has been me kicking and flailing. When I was getting abused as a kid, it was kicking and flailing. Nothing ever seemed to work. I never actually felt a real sense of control, but I was kicking and flailing. When I was about 13, probably sometime before Stu poisoned me with fucking heavy metals and fucked up my connection to reality, I was all about naturally flowing through life. Yeah. I believe that the universe had a divine plan for me. I believe that I was on my way, and yes, I was. I reported an entire church as a human trafficking ring, and a bunch of people who were unnatural. Everything these people do is not natural. There's nothing natural about raping your kids. There's nothing natural about being in a church. You can, I dare any of these bastards name one creature in nature that goes to church. One non-human animal that regularly goes to church. Okay? That has their own church. And I don't mean somebody brings their dog or they bring a parrot and that parrot says some religious bullshit it was trained to say. I mean a wild animal that established its own church, like gorillas establishing their own church, okay? You can't, because churches aren't natural. They're made up. They're fake. Just like the essence of control is fake. But I myself have a deeper problem with surrender. My problem with surrender goes well beyond control. It goes to freedom. The only thing I care about is my freedom. My deepest core value is being free. That's why when I was president out there, I was slowly, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually dying, because I was not free. I wanted to be free, and the wives out there explained to me freedom is slavery, freedom is dangerous, freedom, and I was like, I want to be free, you stupid bitches. And I remembered snapping on them, because they love being in prison. Once again, I had this conversation with Annalene and Mummy God, where I was like, they were like, whatever you do, you can't turn Jasmine in or any of the other wives for doing all the horrible things they did to you, because if they go to prison, we have to kill you. I personally do not care anymore. One, I believe I'm dying of bowel cancer. I have to physically stimulate my own intestines to poop now because they're dying. That is what's happening to me. I believe I am dying. And I also believe this is why I have anxiety and freakouts, because I have cancer. I have cancer because that faggot Uncle Ruckus poisoned me with cadmium. Now, those dumb bitches out there, I told Annalene Mummy God, they told me when I was out there, they love being imprisoned. They love it out there because it's safe. They will love being in prison because it will come naturally to them. They will be in a completely controlled environment where everything will be monitored, everything will be decided for them, and they will be safe. And I remember he went, "Oh, no, I want them to be free!" You know, you don't want them to be free because you would destroy your own religion. And you are the president. You can make that decision unilaterally. Go ahead. Fucking go. Give a large amount of money to a politician and then turn yourself in. Tax exempt status lost. You're not gonna, because you do not care. And he's dead also. So the new president, go ahead and do that. You're not gonna, because you do not care. And that is a fact. Now that we've established that, fucking This is another reason why you shouldn't behave like a bastard. Like every one of these guys in this church, I would argue the biggest issue, the envy that fucking brought this hell upon me, is my love and respect for my personal freedom. I am free, and Stu is a fucking slave. He is a bitch of the church, regardless of how much control, illusion of control he has. Hypnosis, human trafficking, slavery, killing, murdering, all these things are a desperate cry for control, and control does not exist. The only peace you will have from the chaos of trying to be in control is surrender. You're playing a video game and you're getting your ass kicked, or you're winning, but regardless, you have to sit there in front of that TV day in, day out, night and day, forever with that controller in your hand indefinitely, forever. Sweating, bleeding, dying. Time running out, but you're controlling, right? You're controlling that character, therefore you are controlled. It's control through proxy. And in Stu's brain, by controlling others, that control through proxy means he's in control. But he's never been in control a day in his fucking life. And it is the thing that drives him crazy. And I would argue it is the thing that attracted Blondie's dumbass to me. It is the thing that attracted Stu's dumbass to me. When Blondie got me to sign the perjury, one of the perjuries I signed with a fake signature. I don't remember what I put, but it was completely fake, because Blondie was being disingenuous. And he immediately grabbed it and ran out. And as he ran out, I suddenly got this golden flash in my eyes, and I saw a child beating somebody up and then running in to get back in line. He's like a soldier, like a child soldier, to get back in line. It's like, oh boy! And as this vision went on, the general walked down and was like looking over his soldiers, and he was like, and then he goes, I would like to thank Private Blondie for getting the Circuit of Death back up and running. He knows his place. He knows it's important to take it in the ass. He knows how important it is to take it for the ass for me, for his religion, for everything we do, and more importantly, to keep the human trafficking ring going. And then the man patted Blondie on the head and said, thank you, soldier. That was the vision I had. And Blondie in it was a war boy. It was kind of funny. He looked like a fucking war boy. But my point about that vision was that was the universe talking to me. And explaining to me that's what Blondie wants. He needs somebody to be in control because he's never been in control and nobody's in control. And in a world where there's no control in his brain, that means there's only chaos. But that is a lie. It is not chaos. Okay, it seems like chaos to a person who desperately wants some semblance of rigidity and control. The real world is harmony. It is about harmony. Blondie doesn't see harmony. He doesn't understand it. He can't perceive it. And if he ever did, it would be from a book standpoint of the word harmony. When I spoke to Anal Eaton Mummy God and I spoke to the wives, one of the things I talked about was when I look at the universal scales, I see the ripples of reality and how they bend and flow into one another to meld into a larger picture, and it is just so fucking beautiful. And they got scared because they're like, that's chaos. What you're talking about is divine chaos. That is the most no. Control is not a thing. Okay? It's not. You guys have to do what your religion wants you to do. You have no choice in the matter. You have no freedom. What you surrendered for control, you lost in freedom. You are not free people. You're not Americans. You're not. And you need to admit you're not Americans. And you need to also admit you hate America, because America's what for what? It's about freedom. It seems to be the only value we have. We used to be truth, justice, freedom in the American way, but now it's just freedom. That's it. That's all we got to offer. Nothing else. Freedom to be a fat ass. Freedom to be skinny. Freedom to be ugly as fuck. Freedom to be you. Usually, for me, it used to be freedom to date, but that's not a thing. That was stolen from me illegally by a fucking church. Yeah. So that is why I am trying to hypnotize myself to be okay with surrender. But there is something in my head that is terrified of it. And it used to be something I loved to do when I was a child, was surrender.